All I know is war. All I know is shoot. All I want is more, but I got some things to do. I'm a dog of war. Hell's what I've been through. I'm a dog of war. I did it all for you. I'm a soldier, I'm a warrior. Got an emblem on my cover. And ask me what I did for ya. I put the trash deep down under. Yeah, I'm a dog of war. Hell's what I've been through. I'm a dog of war. I did it all for you, yeah.
Took some time in the place, man, I just needed some space. All the pain show in my face and my heart starts to race. Band of brothers.
Oh, brother, please let us know for last thoughts, our listeners live and on podcast.
All right, we know that I do joke quite often about my attempted escapes from the psych ward, but in all seriousness, the psych ward gang is seriously my idea of representing the military. Representing mental health in the military community. So, if you happen to run into any type of mental health crisis or emergency, do not be ashamed nor afraid to dial 988, press option 1. Again, just as I had to do when I was in a moment of crisis, do not be ashamed nor afraid to dial the digits 988. Then press option 1 if you find yourself in a similar Hello, and welcome to the show. This is episode 74 of the WarDawg Trail podcast. Tonight, I have a very powerful man in the 2A industry with us tonight. But before I get to him, let's go over a few announcements. All right. Be sure to check out my website, sergeantwardawgtv.com, as well as the Facebook page, Sergeant WarDawg TV, YouTube channel, Sergeant WarDawg TV, and Instagram, Sergeant WarDawg TV. You can also find me on X at Sergeant War. Okay. I am a brand ambassador for Reaper Apparel Co. So you can use my code, Sergeant WarDawg TV, for 10% off your entire order. Peace for Warriors. Peace for Warriors is an organization that takes veterans out to volunteer around the world. I will be joining Peace for Warriors next March when we head to the Philippines to work on a school in a village just north of the Subic Bay. If you are a veteran struggling with PTSD, struggling with a purpose or mission in your life, be sure to check out peaceforwarriors.org as an option to utilize your time. Remember, I am a host with DV Radio. That's Dysfunctional Veterans Radio, which can be found at dvradio.net. We go live every Saturday night at 8 p.m. for a little bit of military fun, humor, and serious topics as well. My second podcast, Bullets, Blades, and Hooks, is a show that highlights national veterans organizations that seek to get veterans in the outdoors. So we interview nonprofits that take veterans out to hunt, camp, shoot, or fish from around the world, sometimes at no cost to the veteran. All right. I recently completed my book, The WarDawg Trail. I've submitted it to several publishers. This is my tale of 3 tours in Iraq from the very first day of the war, serving as a United States Marine rifleman in the infantry. Next, my nonprofit, Camp Doghouse. Camp Doghouse can now be found at campdoghouse.org. Please check us out to see how I am trying to work on the homeless war veteran situation in Central Florida. All right. This year we were awarded 2 awards, 2 international awards. The first came from Acquisition International magazine, where we were named Leading Veteran Welfare Outreach Nonprofit Organization. The second came from Corporate Livewire, where we were named Veteran Support Nonprofit Organization of the Year. Now, for all of you fans of SHOT Show, we now have media passes this year. So next month, we will be headed to SHOT Show in Las Vegas, and we will have media passes. And that means you will see us at Range Day. We have been invited by Glock, Radian Weapons, Horizon Firearms, Cadix Defense, and Mitchell Defense to shoot their brand new weapons at the Range Day at SHOT Show, which will be held next month in Las Vegas. We are now members of the NSSF as media members of the National Shooting Sports Foundation. We will soon be members of POMA, the Professional Outdoor Media Association, so that we can bring you even more shooting, hunting, camping, and fishing outdoor events. Okay, for my predator hunters, those that like to go after coyotes and wild hogs, we have the Ecotech Helion Game Caller. This is a game caller that is changing the industry. It has an array of sounds to help you get your target harvest so that you can call in your coyotes or your wild hogs. And finally, this show airs every single day from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. on MBR Radio. That is Military Broadcast Radio. You can find the video podcast as well as the audio podcast available, like I said, every single day from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Now, without further ado, I bring to you none other than Mr. Douglas J. Jefferson, Vice President of the National African American Gun Association. Mr. Douglas, welcome to the show, boss.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right. Now to get us started, I want to tell you how much I am, first of all, impressed by your organization and its mission and its purpose.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Obviously, I am a black gun owner, so to know that there's an organization of well over 40,000 individuals that thinks just like I do, that act the way I do when it comes to firearms, and that actually care and give a damn, I appreciate the fact that NAAGA does exist.
Well, thank you. We work really hard to provide a service to the community that has been sorely needed. We're at over 50,000 strong now and continuing to grow with over 120 chapters across the country. So, none of that would mean anything if you guys didn't see value in it and join the organization. So, really humbled that for every single person that is a part of the organization.
Right on. Well, as a Marine, I give you my salute. I give you my stamp of approval that Sergeant WarDawg TV is definitely down with NAAGA, man. I always have been. Wanted to find someone in the organization for a long time that I could try to interview. And I thank you so much that we were able to make this happen and that I was able to speak to you.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me tonight.
All right. Now, if you don't mind, to get us started, can you talk about your background in firearms and
Sure.
what brought you to love firearms.
Okay. The home I grew up in is probably like a lot of homes in Black communities that there weren't any firearms around. However, the difference was my parents were pretty agnostic to firearms, so they didn't talk about them as like a good or bad thing. It was just, you have good people that have them, you have bad people that have them, and it's all about how you use them. My grandparents, on the other hand, specifically my grandfather, he was a gun owner, and so up until the day he died, he kept a shotgun by his bed. And I remember around age 9 or so, run around my grandparents' house with my cousins and, kind of peeked in, ran by my grandfather and grandmother's room and saw the shotgun sitting there. So I go and ask my grandpa, I was like, well, hey, so you got a shotgun? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, what do you have it for? And he kind of chuckled to himself. It's out in the country. He lived on a farm. He said, like, well, it's protect the place against four-legged critters and two-legged critters. And,
I like
yeah. So, I mean, to my 9-year-old mind, that kind of made sense. That just went on playing. So it wasn't until my mid-20s that I really began using firearms. At the time, I was doing some work with the Georgia DOD civilian side. So around a lot of guardsmen and reservists. And of course, we're young guys, talk about everything. Young guys talk about, subject of guns that come up. I wouldn't really have much to say because I didn't own them and I didn't shoot them at the time. And so one day one of the soldiers asked me, if I owned any firearms. And I said, well, no. And he's like, have you shot firearms before? And I said, no. And he's like, well, why not? You're in Georgia. And I really didn't have a good answer. It just never had really occurred to me. I never thought about it. So probably the next weekend that I was off work and had some time, went by my local range. I told them, hey, I've never fired a gun before. I want to give it a try. They said, okay. So they put me through their safety class. Came out the safety class. They set me up with a Glock 17 handgun, showed me how to load it and unload it, went through all the firearm safety rules. And they, gave me a target, a box of bullets, put me out on the lane with one of their guys. And I took my first shots. And after that, just kind of jumped in it with both feet. Actually my first gun I purchased from there was actually AR-15. And then I got the Glock after that and started jumping into training classes. My first training class after like your intro kind of basic handgun class was actually went to a simunitions class, force on force. So really got bitten by the training bug pretty hard, early on. So I've been, doing lots of training and stuff since. I've gotten some instructor certifications through USCCA and also through National African American Gun Association, which also has its own instructor program that it offers. And do a little bit of training on the side, though, still doing the classes and things. I like to, when time allows, because, had some life changes and things and, good things, both personally and professionally that, just take up a little bit more time. So, but I still try to get in 1 or 2 classes a year with somebody, even if it's just like a basic handgun or rifle class to make sure I at least keep the fundamentals where they need to be.
Great. That's nice. Now, can you talk to us about the mission of NAAGA and its purpose?
Sure. So NAAGA was founded in 2015 by our founder and current president of the organization, Philip Smith. And the vision that Philip had was an organization that could build a fellowship amongst the African American community to share all of the different facets of gun ownership and the Second Amendment rights, be it hunting or competition shooting or self-defense. And so he came from a background where, in his childhood, guns were seen as a bad thing. He actually grew up out in California, but when he moved to Georgia, he saw a very different culture down here where firearms ownership is just seen much more as a normal thing. And you see lots of people owning firearms and using them in a safe, responsible manner. So he just thought to himself one day, you know what, it would be really nice if there was a place where Black people would come together and share this information and share this pastime and these rights. So he decided to form NAAGA. And from there, we've just kind of grown and grown. We went from the original first chapter here in Atlanta, Georgia, all the way to over 120 chapters across the nation. So really has grown exponentially, way larger than was ever envisioned in the beginning. But it's a great thing. It really means that, like I said, there's a real hunger for a place, an organization that we could call our own, that would we could feel comfortable when learning about firearms in a responsible manner. Because unfortunately, a lot of us, our exposure in the Black community to firearms is from a negative lens. If we've been in,
Right.
certain poor communities, they have high crime levels. You're exposed to either the only people that have firearms are, the criminals or the police officers. And we all know that there's, a lot of places, a lot of our communities where the police officers are not treating us as the citizens, the same rights as everybody else. So that just, doubles down on that negativity there. So we really aim to change that narrative by providing a place to learn about safe, responsible gun ownership, places where, no matter what age you are, from 9 to 90, you can come in and you can learn about firearms in a safe and responsible manner through our chapters and through the variety of programs and things that we have. And we base all of that through the historical lens and talk about the Black tradition of arms in this country, because there's a very rich history of responsible gun ownership that's been used to protect our community and to advance our civil rights.
All right. Right on. Right on. That's the reason that I decided to become a member and that I enjoy the organization so much, is because of everything that you just said. And personally, it kind of like it helps me sort of feel like I'm at home or at ease around a group of other like-minded individuals. So that's why I'm really impressed by the organization.
Yeah, and
Now,
we also have. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Didn't mean to
no,
cut
no,
you
no.
off.
I didn't have anything. You go ahead.
So I was going to say we have a lot of current and former military, current and former law enforcement from our community that joins our organization, and that's one of the things that they cite, is that they just like the fact that it's organized and that we have a process for introducing people to safe and responsible firearms ownership. So we really pride ourselves on that.
Right on. Right on. Now, can you specifically talk to us a little bit about what you, as vice president, what you have to do for the organization?
Sure. So, in my role as vice president, I play a key role in supporting the president of the organization in developing strategies on how we move the organization forward, as well as taking on particular special projects that may come up, special initiatives that we're trying to develop to expand the quality that we can provide for our members, as well as ways that we can expand to new membership as well, to bring in more folks from our community. Because believe it or not, as large as we are, as much of a presence as we have, we still run into a lot of not just African Americans, but African American gun owners that have never heard of our organization. So we work really closely to try to figure out those ways that we can connect with the community and continue to build out and refine the current programs that we have.
All right, good deal, good deal. Now, will NAAGA be at SHOT Show next month?
So we will have a couple of individuals that will have a presence at SHOT Show. We'll have a much smaller presence this year than we've had in the past. Last year, we actually had a booth set up at SHOT Show, and we just had some other commitments to some other projects that didn't really allow us to do that setup for this year. But we will have some folks out there, so be on the lookout. We're walking around wearing our NAAGA gear. Though hopefully will be a little bit harder to find, because we'll see a lot of our other members there wearing their NAAGA gear as well. So
All right.
we've really enjoyed seeing the growth over the last, I'd say, 4 to 5 years or so that we've been going to SHOT Show, and seeing just an exponential growth in the number of Black faces that we see around there. Not just folks that are attending just to watch, but folks that have their own firearms training companies, influencers, folks that are making their own ammo or running their own gun shops. I mean, it's been really, really exciting to see, and I hope that trend continues in the upward direction that it's been.
Right on, right on. I will be there myself as a media member, so if I can run into anyone from NAGA myself, I will definitely take the time to stop and speak with them and possibly get an interview if I can, or at least to get on camera to say that I was able to find someone there, while we were at SHOT Show.
Excellent, excellent.
All right. Now, would you talk to us about what we can expect for the future with NAGA?
Sure. So the big thing that's on the horizon right now for our organization is our national summit, which will occur in July of this upcoming year in Dallas. So this past year, or rather, I should say, this current year of 2023, we had our first national convention, which we had right here in Atlanta, Georgia. It was held over at the Georgia International Convention Center, right there by the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. So it was a huge success. We had members from across the country, had representation from about 40 or 50 chapters in there. So really had a nice turnout, had some really great vendors, as well as some of our sponsors came out, such as Daniel Defense was there. Canet came through, Smith and Wesson, a number of other large names, and then we also had space for some of the black-owned companies that are selling arms and gear and have their own shops and things. So, really, really great event. So we were trying to decide what the next step would be, how we would do our convention series, whether we do it on an annual basis or biannually. And originally it was to have a little bit more time in between them, just so that we could, since it was our first convention, we could spend a little more time really looking through and breaking down how we can make improvements. But the excitement and enthusiasm that was there, as far as wanting to see some type of event in the next year, it just let us know it was just, we would be doing our members a disservice if we didn't put together something. So we decided that we'd have another event. It won't be as elaborate as the national convention, which that's still going to be sort of our, crown jewel event for organization. But we will start looking at having these regional summits where we can hold them in other parts of the country. So the Southwest region will be the first one, and that'll be for the national summit that we're having in Dallas in July of 2024. So we're still building out some of those details. Come the first part of the year, there'll be some more information for members to know specifically what the activities will be and what the itinerary is. But we're really excited about it and looking forward to getting everybody back together in the same place to really share in this Second Amendment culture amongst the African American community.
Right on. Now, for last year's national convention, can you talk about the turnout and how everything worked out?
Sure. So, as I said, the convention that we just had was right here in Atlanta, Georgia, and we had a couple of thousand people come through. Like I said, we had about half of the chapters across the country had some type of representation there, be it leadership from those chapters or members that traveled. So it was really exciting to have it. We had a number of panels and seminars where we did some short form stop the bleed classes, some intro to basic pistol, and is actually a portion of what comes from our in-house handgun class that we created as part of that goes into our firearms training series that culminates in the instructor certification. We had some different speakers talking about the Black tradition of arms. We had some speakers from Philly that were talking about some of the Black Power movement history from that area that came down and spoke. We had, of course, a panel with President Philip Smith where he gave his keynote address and spoke to everyone to talk about what we had coming up and give an overview of like the history of the organization from 2015 up to the current day. As well as we had a gala on one of the opening nights. So had time where everybody could come dressed up really nicely, come eat some food, dance, and then gave away some awards to members and chapters based upon their service and commitment that they've shown throughout the years. So it was a really, really great event. We had, like I said, he had all that stuff there. Oh, and I can't forget, he had the side excursions. So we had some deals going on for people to go to, say, the Georgia Aquarium, particularly for those that had traveled from out of state. Maybe they hadn't been to Atlanta before, so had some connections there, so they could go to Atlanta Aquarium on one night as a group of our folks, so that they could, experience some of the high points, some of the tourist attraction things of Atlanta. We had a range day as well at our local range that we use for the Atlanta chapter. So that's Starter's Gun Range in Midtown Atlanta. So we had a range day there. We even had arrangement so there could be some daycare services, basically fun activities for the kids. So if you had parents that were traveling with smaller kids, they had a place they could drop them off where they could play, and then we could also teach them some of that Black tradition of arms and expose them to some of those fundamental gun safety rules with activities using little twin Nerf guns and things of that nature. So it was a really, really great event, really fantastic time. We're looking to do it bigger and better when we have our next national convention. But in the meantime, we do have the summit coming up in Dallas, Texas in 2024.
All right. I want to talk to you about something that's a little bit controversial for me.
Okay.
And that revolves around the narrative of Black people with guns. Just as you mentioned earlier, often the only example that people see or know of is seeing criminal activity from African Americans with guns. But I want to tell you that even as a military guy personally, I am treated pretty, low priority or low balled when I try to present anything gun related. But I do get respect once I let it be known I'm a Marine. Now, I don't like the way that occurs or takes place. I don't like the fact that I can't just be a Black gun owner in order for people to listen to me or to watch my show. It takes me having to say, "Hey, I'm a Black Marine," and a rifleman in the infantry with multiple tours in combat before that they will listen to me. So, would you mind talking a little bit about how hard it is, or what, just in general, what the narrative is for being a Black person, a Black gun owner, I'm sorry, and how we're trying to change that narrative?
Sure. So, you hit on something that, I think most Black gun owners are very aware of, and that if you look historically, so when it comes to a gun ownership, it's a right. It's a constitutional right that all U.S. citizens are availed of. And when it comes to the African American community, historically, it has always been a issue with us exercising any of our rights, let alone exercising a right as powerful as the Second Amendment. And so we have these historical narratives that are, and stereotypes that cling to us to this day around African American gun owners. Particularly African American men and boys, seen as a criminal, seen as the thug, seen as the ne'er-do-well, without a gun. Yep. Let alone you put a gun in their hand, and now they're just you've multiplied that stereotype times 10. And so unfortunately that still exists today. But I can say, since joining the organization, which I joined in 2016, I can really see that there's been a lot of growth in growth in how we're portrayed, and how that narrative has begun to shift. Because I can think back in 2016 when I looked around for content creators and just really any type of advertising or anything in the Second Amendment community that was focused on African Americans, really showing us in any type of positive light with firearms. It was very sparse. It was very sparse. You could count the number of times you saw a Black person in that light on one hand. But I think with with our organization being a big part of this, and obviously the passion and the dedication of African American gun owners throughout our community, we've seen that narrative change. So now, you can go to a YouTube or an Instagram and, a lot more easily find, quality gun content that's being produced by our community. Not just gun content, period, but high quality, like, really great education, really great information, men and women from our community that that are sharp and know their stuff, putting out information, putting out videos, generating content that rivals anything else that anybody else is putting out there. You see us in the space of gun stores. So an explosion of FFLs that have been created by African Americans. I can think the first year I went to SHOT Show, which was 2019, and from there going, the several years since then, each year, it's not, it's at least doubling the number of Black gun sellers, Black people that are selling, armor or gear or accessories, with their own shops or own manufacturing companies. It's doubled and tripled every year that I've gone,
All right.
and not by seeing a bunch of, Facebook, like just new faces, but seeing, the same faces that are there that are, kind of where the bedrock, and they're continuing to grow and continue to come out and continuing to expand and stuff. There's a couple that I know, they're members of our organization, and I remember first meeting them, and, they really wanted to own a gun shop, but they had just started out. They were just doing, firearms training as instructors in their community. And then they went on to own a gun shop. Now they're going on to expand and have 2 gun shops, right?
All right.
So, I mean, seeing things like that, I mean, it's just really powerful, and really, really is helping to change that narrative. And so, yeah, I'm not saying it's gone away, and I'm sure, you probably have still experienced those unfortunate incidents, even today, but, we're trending in the right direction. We're actually, the needle has been moved, because one of the first things is just changing how we ourselves see Black people in gun ownership, let alone changing how the greater society sees us. And I think there's been massive change inside of our community in seeing Black people and guns as not necessarily this negative thing, but seeing how powerful and positive it can be for our community. And with that bedrock, we can build upon changing how we're seen by others, because it all starts inside our community. If we don't see that there's value in us owning firearms and using them, then we can't expect anybody else to do so.
All right. Great points. Great points. Now, I'll ask you one final question, and
Sure.
it's a bit of advice for myself as well as for the other content creators or influencers out there. What is or how do I say it? What would NAAGA like to see us doing, or how would they like to see us presenting ourselves as content creators from now on? Because I mentioned there's the entertainment factor of, do I try to look cool and try to show I'm down or that sort of thing, or do I go for the professional look and say, no, let me show actual, some form of expertise or some sort of nonsensical, some sort of straightforward and non-stereotypical content. I'm not sure if I worded that all well or if it came out right. So if you need me to,
I think I get where you're going with it. So you're asking, you're kind of getting to the crux of how is it that content creators, Black content creators in the gun space, should be presenting themselves.
There you go.
Their content. So I've never been asked that question, so I really got to sit here and think on it. I won't speak from the standpoint of NAAGA, because I mean the content creators, like, I mean, you're your own individual, so you should
Okay.
do what you feel is going to work best for your platform. Because I mean, certainly we want to educate, but I understand there's a certain business aspect to it as well that drives some of what is done. But for me personally, um, I I I like to see black gun content creators that are first and foremost, that are presenting quality information. That's bottom line. If it's not quality information, if it's not showing people the right way to use and own firearms, I think it's really doing a disservice to our community. So that's number
Okay.
one. Outside of that, I think it's depends on personal style, and I think individuals should be true to who they are. So if you are that professional cat that gets out there, and you're going to be in the 511s with the shades, the flannel shirt, the kind of with the plate carriers, the vest, whatever. If that's who you are, I'm like, hey, present your content that way, because I think it comes across more naturally. And yeah, I mean, there may be some people that like it, but some people don't. But I think authenticity draws more people than trying to be something that just doesn't line up with who you see yourself as, right? Um, but if you're that street cat that you rock the urban attire, use the slang or whatever, and that's who you are, and you're still presenting like great content, then lean into that, because I think there has to be. I don't think there's just one version of what a black gun owner looks like, right? Because there's not
Right.
one version of what a black person looks like. There are black
Right.
people that come from all walks of life, all levels of education, you know, different classes, white collar, blue collar, no collar, whatever. And you have great people that come from all of those different aspects, all those different backgrounds. And so, of course, you're going to have gun owners in our community that come from all those backgrounds. And so if you're one of them that's creating content, just make sure your content is high quality. It is meeting the needs of your audience, in the sense of you're putting them on a path that's not going to cause issues for them, as far as any type of legal stuff, or particularly any type of safety type issues, right? You want to make sure that everybody is safe in their usage, because there is an inherent danger that comes with the use of firearms, and so that margin of safety is very thin, so that's got to be maintained at all times. But as far as like how you present yourself, professional, urban, street, or anything in between, hey, I think that's based on the individual, and how they're true to themselves. An example of it I'll give. So I told you we have our in-house instructor program that
Right.
we created a couple of years ago, and one of the first instructors to go through the course he was actually a recommendation to me from another instructor that had to back out of the course. And this gentleman, he's still is current law enforcement, has worked on some of the tactical teams with his particular agency, superb shooter, superb instructor. But at that time, he had to back out the class. He had like some work commitments that came up, that he just couldn't get out of. So he advised me of it, but he let me know about another brother that he trained with that he thought would be a good fit, who would had the skill set and could go through the class. So I said, all right. So I talked to the other brother, and this brother, he's a street cat. That's just who he is. He's from the MIA. Like that's wear the shades, got the grill, backwards hat. I mean, that's just who he is. But he's a genuinely good dude, and he knows his stuff when it comes to firearms. And where some people just kind of discount him because they just look at him and be like, oh, well, I don't think that's, what the viewpoint of the image that we should be putting out. I'm like, but we have folks who come from all walks of life. It's not about, I don't care what you look like. I care how you handle that firearm. I care how
All
you
right.
handle the responsibilities of owning it. And if you're doing that, hey, you can rock with me anytime and twice on Sundays, right? So
All
brought him
right.
in. He's one of the best instructors that we have. But he's still that street dude from Miami. He's true to who he is, and he can reach out to people and get people to sit down and listen and get good information on how to responsibly own and use firearms. He can reach out to people that I can't, because I'm more that professional dude, right?
Right.
We can spit the same information, but because I'm not from that background. I'm not going to pretend that I am. Maybe I can't. I'm not going to be able to connect with him the way he does. So he's connected with a lot of people and a lot of youth that would look at the rap music videos or think what they see in Call of Duty or whatever, like that's the way to go, and he can reach them and get them to do it the right way, so that they don't get in trouble, so that they don't hurt themselves or anybody else, right? And so those are the kind of people that we need, that are putting out the knowledge, that have the commitment, and that are true to themselves, because we need people from all backgrounds in our community to be able to reach as many of our folks as we can.
All right, that was a phenomenal answer. You just pretty much put me on the straight and narrow path of thinking about how I want to present myself in my own content. So I really appreciate your answer there.
Absolutely. That was
so
a great
much.
question. I never really thought about that. I had to kind of sit and pause and reflect, but I mean, that was a great question.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have had Mr. Douglas Jefferson, Vice President of the African American Gun Association, NAAGA.
National African American Gun Association.
I'm sorry, I said that wrong.
It's National African American Gun Association. No, it's okay. It's okay. That's why I put the big logo up, and I'm here to, like you said, I put you on the straight and narrow about presentation. I'm gonna put you on the straight and narrow about how you say the name of our org.
Gotcha. You're right. The National African American Gun Association.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 74 of the WarDawg Trail podcast. I told you I had a powerful man tonight for you, and now you see why, especially in the 2A gun industry. All right. I want to thank you again, Mr. Douglas Jefferson, for coming on the show and taking time out of your very busy schedule. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing. We need more men and women like yourself out there that are putting out quality content like this on a regular basis. We need all boots on the ground for this. And so I thank you for what you've been doing for the community, and also for your service to the country and your continuing service as a good citizen in helping out your fellow veterans and other African Americans. So thank you.
All right. Good deal. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate that.
Yes,
all right.
sir.
You take care, and I hope to see you at some event someday. I'm not sure, which event it will be, but hopefully I will get to run into you and shake your hand face to face.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
All right. Thank you, and you have a good night now.
Yes, sir. You do the same.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 74 of the WarDawg Trail podcast.
All I know is war. All I know is shoot. All I want is more, but I got some things to do. I'm a dog of war. Hell's what I've been through. I'm a dog of war. I did it all for you. I'm a soldier, I'm a warrior. Got an emblem on my cover, and ask me what I did for ya. I put the trash deep down under. Yeah, I'm a dog of war. Hell's what I've been through. I'm a dog of war. I did it all for you. Yeah.
Some time in the place, man. I just